as agents, business people, as anyone, we tend to think if I'm having fun, I'm not succeeding. And in my perspective, the best entrepreneurs are seeking simplicity, not complexity. And simplicity means you can take time off. Simplicity means when I push on this lever, it's equivalent to you working for 10 hours and only took me 1 hour. What I personally follow, and so Dan Sullivan, he talks about free focus and buffer days. A focus day is the day that you show up and you crush it. A buffer day is the day that you're getting ready to do that. A free day is time to rejuvenate, time to relax, time to listen to podcasts like y'all's, to read a good book, to get a massage, to go exercise, whatever it is. And he schedules 180 free days a year, 90 focus days and 90 buffer days, right? If you don't rest more than you run, you're never going to run very well. Man, about a year ago, I had this realization, and it all came down to that I was using what I call the real estate scoreboard by accident. How many transactions did you do? What was your GCI? What was your volume? And if you have a team, how big is your team? It's all egometric, and we all accidentally fall into that. And I was using someone else's measurement of success, right? I want to create my own scoreboard and then make decisions based off that, right? So most agents, even if they don't want to, are chasing the same thing that is elusive. Exactly what you said. There's always going to be someone who's got a bigger team. There's always going to be somebody who's making more money than you. You don't know what their life is, and you don't know what their scoreboard is. So create your own and then follow that. And that's going to give you a lot of freedom.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world, and we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, what's happening, man? We're going into a long weekend. This is number 2. This is the second podcast we're recording of 4 today.
I'm really hopeful that the 4th podcast cancels. Not the 3rd one, but the 4th one. I'm very hopeful that the 4th one cancels, personally.
Okay. That's honest.
Dude, like sales calls in the morning, coaching calls, and then 4 podcasts in one day.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot.
I know I like to talk, but I'm not getting paid.
I know you like to talk too.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid to talk on the podcast. So like, it's not that, it gets tiring, and my clients pay me and they do most of the talking. And then I just interject a little bit here and there, and it's perfect.
I know that life, brother. I know that life.
What are you up to, Mr. Cody May?
Man, we're headed into a long weekend. I think I'm gonna pack it in after these podcasts and just like actually take the weekend off. At least that's what I told my team. We'll see what happens. I might work on those.
I'll see you at Azul on Saturday morning at about 11:45 with the latte in front of you and a laptop.
Yeah, and it's it's funny. So I was chatting with Sharon yesterday. He called me out of the blue after Icons, and he's like, "Bro, I need your help with this calendar in GHL." I'm like, "Yeah, I got you." So I helped him with his calendar in GHL, and then he's like, "You should really start a paid ads mastermind." Like, that's not a bad idea, because like we were like on the Icons. You were on the Icons call, right?
Did you tell him that he should be your first customer?
Yeah. Send your VA. Send your VA.
I'll give you the Hobie hookup price, Sharon.
Yeah, I'll give you I got you, bro. I got you, bro. Yeah, but so I might build that this weekend. Is what I thought. I'm like, that's actually really interesting. And I kind of threw feelers out there in the marketing Facebook group.
10 people say,
so it's, definitely people want to learn how to run ads themselves rather than hire an agency. So, it could be cool. So, I'm going to put that pen to paper this weekend and try to figure out what that would look like and not take up a crazy amount of my time. But, like kind of very similar to what Sharon does with Icons, where hop on once a week, do an audit of,
I think you should do it.
Yeah. So I'll probably do it. I'll probably work on that this weekend. Figure that out. I told my team about it.
See that, Garrett, how quickly he went from I'm going to pack it in and take the weekend off to like 30 seconds.
He's going to say.
And he wants to call me out saying I'm the mean guy. He's not even a man of his word. How can we trust him?
Wow.
We should. You want to should we kick him out and just
go to my 100%. Yeah. I mean, your plans changed within 2 minutes because someone gave you an idea. Which is awesome. I get it.
That is the entrepreneurial life. It's like a squirrel like chasing a nut. Like you're like, oh my goodness. Like this is great. It's like shiny object syndrome. But
don't talk about squirrels and nuts on this podcast, all right? You just keep your fantasies to yourself.
Hey, Vikram, shut your mouth.
So Garrett, we have so mean.
He is mean to you.
Yeah,
I feel
very, you know, like if you listen to the other 230 episodes of the podcast, you'll know that, you know,
I have a therapist
playing a role. Yeah.
This one I have a therapist. I'll tell you, Cody, to make you, so my co-host, Tyler, is you in this scenario. I'm the guy that talks too much. No offense, Vikram. I talk too much. I say mean things. And he's like, I'm not even doing anything. Why are you being mean to me? So I get it. I understand. I'm on the other side. I'm on Vikram's team here. But
okay, you're on Vikram's team.
I do.
You know, like, well, I razz Vikram every once in a while. You know, it just depends on what type of mood I'm in. Like, but intro yourself, Garrett. Tell us who you are. Tell everyone who the heck you are.
That was probably the best. Yes, that was just the smoothest transition I've ever seen on a show. No, I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, man. So, gosh, I've been in real estate for 9 years, married with 4 kids, 6 and under. I run a coaching and training company, got a small real estate team. We have a podcast. I'm writing a book, you know, all the stuff that entrepreneurs do. Like you said, well, you know, we're the optimists about I think everything I do is going to be amazing. And most of the stuff is terrible, right? But a new idea pops up. I'm like, oh man, this could be a $10 million idea. I should do it. And then I create the whatever, you know, for you, the paid ads, no one would buy that from me. I've never done it, but you know, the paid ads course. And I'm like, why did I do that? You know, now I don't have time. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but now I don't have time for anything else, or I should have stayed focused or whatever. So that's me. My entrepreneurial spirit is it helps me that I've got a wife and 4 little kids because it forces me to choose. And before we had kids, especially, I just kind of did everything because I had the time, I had the space, I had the mental freedom. And now I don't. I take Fridays off. I don't work during the day on Wednesdays because I go on a date with my wife. And
is that why you're sitting there naked?
Cody looks like he's naked based on his backdrop, but my shirt is gray. I think you can tell.
You think so? Hey,
I think so.
I don't think we're going to talk about anything important. We're just going to sit here and talk shit to each
you're going to have to
30 minutes.
You have to go to YouTube and figure out, is Garrett naked right now? That's a good question.
Or does Cody just have one massive tattoo that looks like a shirt? Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Could be. It could be.
Wow. The title's going to be like 30 minutes of talking, no real estate.
Right, exactly.
Probably the best show we had, too.
The truth is, agents need to laugh, though, right? Some of our episodes end up we're just going to have fun because everyone's so scared. And so serious. And it's a scary time in the market for people. Yeah. Like, just have fun for a few minutes is a good thing. Yeah.
Well, let's jam about this for a second, dude, because like, I think that people are people and like people get online and they change their persona. I've been posting some funny ass shit. Like this girl hit on me at the hotel at the breakfast. She saw me with Cody in the elevator at the hotel with my girlfriend. No shit's given. She like slid up, put her phone number in like a paper, slid it in. She's like, "Oh, we should hang out." And I was like, it was 7:00 in the morning. I didn't know what to say. And I just started laughing. And I was like, you know, I'm going to make a video about this shit. People are laughing about it. Like we're making a video. I jumped in the pool. Like it was fun. And the more fun you have, like you're a man of faith. I believe in spirit. I believe in, you know, a higher power. We might, you know, have some similar beliefs around things. I believe God's funny. Like I believe God's a funny person. And I think God like challenges us and tests us to see if we're like actually willing to do the fun things. Because like when you have fun, like you said, you take Friday off and you have fun with your kids, you have fun with your family, you have a date night, like you have all these little things that people take for granted, but like it brings joy to your life, which is probably why you do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And like, I don't know, but the more fun I have, the more money I make. The less fun like the last 30 days, I had no fun. Cody could tell you, I was not a fun person to be around.
No, you sucked.
I sucked. Yeah. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go for a bike ride. I don't care. I'm just going to have fun. So like, how do you see bringing joy into your life and scheduling fun? Like, how do you see that being a benefit for people, especially in a market that's so difficult for so many?
That's a great question. I mean, I think going back to what you said earlier, definitely the Lord he has a part of his character is fun, is joy. That's why we have it, right? We were made in his image. That's why we have those things. And so as agents, we tend to, as business people, as anyone, we tend to think if I'm having fun, I'm not succeeding. And we have taken out the joy. And in my perspective, the best entrepreneurs are seeking simplicity, not complexity. And simplicity means you can take time off. Simplicity means when I push on this lever, it's equivalent to you working for 10 hours and only took me 1 hour, right? Those are the smartest, most talented people in the world. And I think what I personally follow, and so Dan Sullivan is a brilliant mind, right? If you haven't read his books, you need to go do it. But Dan Sullivan's a brilliant mind. He talks about free focus and buffer days. So a focus day is the day that you show up and you crush it, right? A buffer day is the day that you're getting ready to do that. A free day is time to rejuvenate, time to relax, time to listen to podcasts like y'all's, to read a good book, to get a massage, to go exercise, whatever it is. And he schedules 180 free days a year, and then he has 90 focus days and 90 buffer days, right? But his point is, and I think it's so true, and there's a lot of studies behind this, if you don't rest more than you run, you're never going to run very well. And a lot of the resting comes in, for me, it's number one, I'm not willing to give away the little years for my kids, right? So it's just an unwillingness to do that. But also when I have joy, when I have fun, it means that when I get back to the grind and when I get back to the focus, it's because I'm choosing to, and I'm mentally rejuvenated well enough to do it. If we're going to succeed at a high level, we can't show up at 40% of our best every day and expect to get there. It's not going to happen. So resting for me means I don't need to work as much, because when I show up, I'm 80 to 100% every single time. And there's just a whole new ball game when you show up that well. So I think it is absolutely crucial for us to be able to rest well.
Can I follow up real quick, Cody?
Yeah.
I think this is really great. And I'm glad that this kind of joking took us down this pathway. When agents are out there, right? And I think it's a mindset thing, but I'd like to hear your perspective on it. When agents are out there and they're neglecting their family nonstop, right? They're just like, oh, another deal. And they might be doing well. They might not be doing well, right? Why do you think that they always put themselves, their health, and I know you touched on it a little bit. Like you guys, just a little fun energy here. I got fucking toothpaste on my shirt and we've been rocking for like 3 hours. I've been rocking on Zooms for like 3 or 4 hours and I had toothpaste on. I was like, that's toothpaste.
I think your audience is probably just glad you brush your teeth. I don't know if they knew that maybe in advance.
Well, I'd still fart curry, so it doesn't matter. But
now they know.
But what do you think? Because I used to train my agents on this. I train my clients now on how to like time block fun and family first. But why do people allow themselves and everything to be put to the back burner for this elusive paycheck that they don't even enjoy at that moment anymore?
Yeah, it's the right question. Man, about a year ago, I had this realization for myself. And it all came down to what I call the real estate.
Ayahuasca?
I don't know what that is, but so maybe. But I had this realization for myself that I was using what I call the real estate scoreboard by accident, right? The real estate agent scoreboard is how many transactions did you do? What was your GCI? What was your volume? And if you have a team, how big is your team? And it's all ego metric. But we all accidentally fall into that, right? I had an experience where, at the biggest, my team was 9 people. And I remember waking up one morning thinking, I don't even want this. Like, why did I do this? And I was using someone else's measurement of success, right? The real estate agent scoreboard. And so it was a year ago when I started to recognize in myself, I want to create my own scoreboard and then make decisions based off that, right? So my scoreboard became Fridays off, Wednesdays off, not working past 5. That became my new scoreboard. That's how I was going to determine whether I was winning or not. And having a new focus, a new scoreboard, required me to take different actions. So I drastically reduced the size of my team, simplified what we do, and it's been so much better because of that, right? But again, it's this idea where most agents, even if they don't want to, are chasing the same thing that is elusive, exactly what you said. There's always going to be someone who's got a bigger team. There's always going to be somebody who's making more money than you. You don't know what their life is, and you don't know what their scoreboard is. So create your own and then follow that. And that's going to give you a lot of freedom.
Hi, it's Cody from Sheridan Street. I want to invite you to a free trial of our Sheridan Street appointment engine, where we'll send you 3 buyer and seller live appointments for absolutely free. Go to sheridanstreet.io/trial. That's SHERIDANST.io/trial. And you'll get instant access to a free trial of our Sheridan Street appointment engine. Let's hop back into the show.
How does somebody find out what their scoreboard is like? Because I think when we get into business, we, like for me personally, like I got in business for, more money, more meaning, more freedom. But not everyone sits down and introspectively thinks about what it is they want, because they're so busy in the rat race of going to a listing, presentation, going to a buyer consult, writing contracts. I hear all the time our clients consistently say, I had somebody message me at 9:30 at night. It's it's a 2-part question. How do you find your scoreboard, and how do you set boundaries when you're not necessarily performing at the level that you want to perform at?
Yeah. So another good question. And again, we were talking about this earlier, but the reality is, if we stop for a second and recognize at the end of all the striving, what's left? It's just more striving. Right? We often convince ourselves, I'm just going to work my butt off, and because I want to hit this big goal. And when I do, I'm going to stop. Well, that doesn't happen. That's not what we actually tangibly do. Right? We get to it. You got in, you said more money, more meeting, more freedom, I think is what you said. Well, what is more money? That's what I would ask somebody. Define that for yourself. When I think about scoreboard, when I'm coaching people to figure this out, I ask the question first. For me, I have to provide for my family. So the legitimate question is, what does that mean? How much money do I actually need in order to provide the right kind of living for my family? Right? So now I have a tangible goal that once I get there, I can slow down or choose to keep going if I want, but at least I know I've hit the mark. Right? So that's number one. Number 2 is, I always ask this question, and I have people ask this question: who are the important people in my life that are wishing they had more of my time and attention? Right? So starting to understand. So for me, that was my kids. And when I started to think about that, okay, my kids are young. They want more of daddy's attention. They don't understand that I'm working hard and what that means per se, right? The oldest is 6. And so my kids want more of my attention. Well, what does that tangibly look like? Well, that looks like putting my phone away. That looks like me just being around. That looks like me having time to take them to the water park or whatever, right? That's what that looks like. That's what they remember about these years. And so that needs to go on my scoreboard, right? So you just start to kind of get more granular. Everyone has these lofty goals, and that's awesome. But when I ask them to define what that is, what is success, what does freedom mean? They don't know. And so if you don't have a definition, you're never going to catch it, because no one even knows what you're aiming for. And so I think when we actually put real numbers to this and we decide, I'll give an example. So I was teaching, giving a keynote the other day at this conference, and I'm talking about the idea of scoreboard, and this lady comes up to me afterwards, and she said, that was so helpful because last year I crushed it. I think she's a solo agent, did like 60 deals, whatever. And she said, but this year I was doing really well, but I realized I was missing all my kids' games, and I didn't understand what the difference was, right? What changed for me? And I realize now it's because I kept using the same old scoreboard, and I didn't even want to. I had promised myself at the beginning of this year that I was going to spend more energy and time with my daughter, go see her play soccer, right? That was one of the things. All of a sudden, she fell back into the same old scoreboard, did the same old things. So I think we've got to name it, right? We've got to recognize what it is that's driving us to constantly keep chugging. And also remember, too many people say, I'm going into this industry because exactly what you said, I want more freedom in my life so I can spend time with my family or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, real estate becomes the barrier that's in the way of you spending time with your family, right? So what is the reality in your life right this moment? Is real estate in the way? And if it is, how can you create a different scoreboard that causes different actions? And I think that's the way that you change the game.
I was talking with a new client that I onboarded today, and she was having a lot of different issues coming up with this and that, right? Like real estate's tough. Like you got brokerage issues, you got money issues, you got team issues, you got all sorts of things. And so she was having all these things, and I could tell she needed to vent. And I'm like, just lay it out on me, right? Like we create a 1-page document, we share, and we talk about things. And I was like, just start spewing whatever's in your mind. And she started spewing stuff. And then she goes, after about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, she started catching herself that she was like just letting it out. She's like, I don't mean, and I'm like, no, just keep going. Like, there's no judgment here. Like, there's no judgment at all. Just let it out. And she got down to the point where she's like, well, I just want to be around my kids more. I was like, there we go. Because like, if I tell you this, it doesn't land. And so after a few minutes, I said, okay, let's do this. Let's put to the side everything you don't want, because we manifest that. Like the reticular activating system, the more we put what we don't want into our minds. Like, here's a fun example. If you ever been to a Tony Robbins event, Garrett?
I have not.
Okay. So I want you guys to just do a quick example. Like, I want you guys to look around your rooms and find everything in your room. Do you have, is your room all white, like nothing in there? Do you actually have stuff in it?
Oh, there's stuff in here. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you guys to just look around your rooms and find everything that's yellow. Keep looking, find everything yellow, 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 yellow. Keep looking, look at your shirts, look at your shoes, right? Look around, look for the yellow, keep looking for the yellow. Everybody look, if you guys are driving, stop looking. Keep looking. You guys find a yellow? Now find everything red. Now, I don't know what your guys' rooms look like, so you guys might not have red or yellow, but do you see more red or yellow right out the gate? Depending on what your rooms,
More yellow.
More yellow, because our brains are looking for yellow. We'll start making shit up. Orange things. It's yellow. It's a lemon. No, it's an orange. No, I swear to God, it's like, right? We start to find what we look for. And so after she was done venting, because she needed that, she needed a safe place where she could just let go, because she doesn't want to give her kids or her husband that. And people need a safe place. And I said, what do you want now? And when she just let it out, it was like there was tears in her eyes. And she's like, well, I just want this. I just want to be able to go to the park with my kids. I want to be there. And I'm like, great. Let's talk more about what you want. What do you want to, what kind of leader do you want? What do you want to be with this? What do you want to be? And she just started saying all this amazingness. Like I had goosebumps on my arms, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. I said, now let's grab your calendar. And she goes, okay, what do we do with my calendar? I said, well, we're not going to do it now, but I want you to look at your calendar. I want you to write in all of the things that matter to you. Right? You said you want to be a better leader. What does that mean? Just put leadership there, because there's going to be a moment where you have to talk to your team in a different way. She's like, oh, and I was like, put all your kids events in there. I'm like, just do that now. The kids event right now, because that's the number one reason we're here. So put that in your calendar. And when we start to put what we want, it's funny, like our friend Sharon, we all know Sharon. The dude runs around, but he still finds time to have date night with his daughter. He still finds time to go to the soccer game. When you start putting your priorities first, God, source, universe, whatever it is, right? Cody's atheist, that's fine. Whatever it is.
Wow.
Whatever it is, we'll start to put that in your world. And the more you focus on that every week, the more you'll find that I just have more time to do the things that I want. And like, weirdly enough, your business will actually grow because you're doing the things with the people you love, which is why you got into the business. And it goes for all businesses. So like, I like your scorecard. I think that's a great analogy. I might steal it, but it's, if you don't focus on what you want, like Cody and I were talking about this. Cody and I were like, we want a girl. Like, we want a woman that treats us well, that's loving, caring, kind, compassionate, right? Like all these qualities. And we both, within a couple of weeks of that, we both have these amazing girlfriends. And guess what? Because we had the same values, they love each other too. They're texting each other all the time. And I'm like, you guys talk more than Cody and I do now.
Right?
It's just, it's putting it in your ecosystem. Like when you're working with yourself, right? Or you're working with your team and you're going over their scorecards and they start falling back on old habits, because we go to what's comfortable, because going into like the unknown is scary as fuck. So when you're working with your team and you're teaching them and your clients and you're teaching them and they start falling back, how do you like give them the bump to get back on the saddle of where they want to go, not where they've been?
Yeah. So first of all, awesome point. Love what you just shared, and great question. And one of the most impactful exercises I've ever done on clarity is a buddy of mine taught me. We've all heard the term mastermind. You get together, you have a problem to solve, right? You're all talking about how to do that. Instead, what I use is, again, what my buddy taught me is a question mind. So a question mind, not sure if you ever heard this concept. A question mind is, instead of, I do thinking time sessions during the week, right? I write a problem at the top and I just journal about it until I feel like I've solved the problem. A question mind is you have 10 minutes and all you can do is ask yourself questions. No answers, nothing, right? Because we know the quality of the answer is going to be in direct relation to the quality of the question that's been asked. So for 10 minutes, I start with the question at the top, like I was going to anyways before I journal, and I just keep asking questions. And then I finally get down to the one that I think, you know what, that's it. And I'll give you an example. This is many, many months ago. I wrote at the top of my page, do I like the structure of my team? That was the question I thought I needed to answer that day. And normally I would have gone into the thinking time and started journaling about it. And I did the question mind instead, because I'm always trying to figure out what's really going on in my head. And I wrote questions. And I got down to the very end. And then literally the question that I wanted to ask myself is, am I even doing okay right now? That was the real question, right? And then I took that and then I did some thinking time on that. And that was a resetting of my scoreboard. That was resetting of what was going on, right, in my head and what I was focusing on, to your point. And I think we don't take time enough to do the deep work, right? We're so used to building the plane while it's in the air. And that's how real estate is. And that's how entrepreneur businesses are. And that we've stopped this ability we've lost this ability to stop and listen to ourselves. Because exactly what you shared and what you did was, if I give other people space to process, I should give that to myself. And I'll self-discover that, hey, pause for a second, ask yourself some questions, right? I'll come down and I'll realize I'm not even happy with what I'm doing. How do I change where I am right now? That's the real question. And so it's amazing once we have awareness of a scorecard, how quick we are to ignore it and just keep running, exactly what you said, but also how if someone says, wait a minute, stop, and do some processing and some of that deep work, 10 minutes is all I mean. Ask yourself questions, you'll realize you're not good with where you are. And I think that awareness, to me, it's just pointing them back to that same thing. It's already in your head. You know this is not where you want to be. Stop and ask yourself questions and then do some thinking on it. So to me, that's been the most effective for myself and certainly for people that I coach and teach.
So you found clarity for yourself through that process of really redefining your scoreboard and really finding the things that truly make you happy, bring you fulfillment, bring you joy, just redefine success. Can you walk us through because that to me sounds pretty transformational. Like, so can you walk us through like the process in which you have, taken your team, like what you're doing now, how you're operating? Because I know that you're out of production. Like, what does that look like practically and tactically? Once you got that clarity, if you will, what are you working on now that you may have never been able to work on because you didn't have the clarity that you had before?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So when I started to have that awareness and the recognition of myself that I was using the wrong scoreboard, and like I said, I cut my team back significantly, then I decided that if I was going to really, it just came to Fridays off, Wednesday date with my wife, and I don't want to work past 5, and nothing I was doing was getting me to that scoreboard, right? So I finally said, I think the only way to do this is I need to get out of production and I need to make my team even smaller. So I cut back to one agent and one admin, and my one agent takes all of the transactions, right? We're 100% referral, but he gets everybody for me. I don't touch them. So I work about an hour a week in that business. And I realized, okay, exactly what you said. Now I've achieved this scoreboard, right? Because what the structure of my team and the actions I was taking were getting me close, but not quite there. I decided that it was less important to me how much money I made or making more than the person next to me, though we're doing great, thankfully. But, it's not about that. It was about, for me, how do I achieve the things I want to achieve? Fridays, Wednesdays, right? Now working past 5. So I scaled my team way back. The amazing part of that, exactly to your point, is what I realized is when you scale back, you recognize there are a lot of stuff that you're doing that you need to let go of. So all of a sudden I had a ton of time back. And so now I'm still making as much money as I was doing when I was actively running around all day. Now I get to fill my time with coaching, with podcasting, with writing a book, right? With creating a course and doing those things. I mentioned you guys, it's nothing to do with real estate, but my buddy and I are building an Amazon business together, right? Those things. I'm helping people find financial freedom. You had Joey Murray on, but introducing him to concept of infinite banking and all this stuff. And I realized that now I have all this time to impact people the way I want to. And still my scoreboard I'm nailing it, right? Thankfully, I'm still taking the time off. I'm still spending time with my wife. I'm still not working past 5. And so I think one of the challenges that we have, and it's a great question, Cody, at the end of the day, is we think life is about, I've got a lot going on, but I really want to do this, so I just need to figure out a way to add it. When I think real success in real life is, what's the one thing I need to hold on to right now? I'm going to scrap everything else, and then I'm going to intentionally rebuild what my life looks like, where I spend my time, what gets to get inside what I call my zone of genius, right? What many people call. What gets inside my zone of genius? If it's not in there, I don't do it. And when I don't do those things, I become way better and more successful and more profitable at those particular things, spending less time doing it. And so the scoreboard that I set out to have, I can keep that and be a man of my word. So I don't know if that answers your question, but for me, that's been the steps. For me, that's been, transformational. It really has been.
It's funny, like we talk to people all day long, all 3 of us, we're all in the same boat. We're talking to people, we're chatting about things, and the power of focus on one thing for an extended period of time is where all the wealth comes. It's not just wealth as like money. This is like I don't even know how many business I've started in my life or assumed. And every time I have the optimism that it's going to be so easy, every time it's 10,000 times harder. And it's like, when I tell clients, because like my goal is just to help agents go from 0 to 2 or 1 to 2, right? If you can get to a 2 deal a month consistent activity level, your world changes, especially where the prices are now in most markets. Your world is good. You're 2 deals a month. You're making as much as doctors and attorneys are, and you're living and doing. And if you don't get caught up in I need to buy a Range Rover, just because everybody, like, if you like cars and you've always wanted a Range Rover, by all means, go earn a Range Rover. Like, I love Range Rovers. I will have a blacked out one here pretty soon. Like, that's what I want, but it doesn't change. Like, I like watches, but I don't really need the Rolex. I'm like, I'd rather have certain other things. When you lock into your life, the focus to learn a skill or a business long enough, it then gives you the freedom to go learn something else and add to it, because once you learn it well enough and you become an expert at it, which is not 3 months, it's not 4 months, 6 months is like the training wheels come off. You're not climbing up like a mountain on a road bike with your buddies at 20 miles an hour. You're just like, you just got the training wheels off. You're still in the cul-de-sac. Like, mom and dad are still watching you to make sure you don't bump yourself. Why do people always want to chase, right? Like, because I know you've seen it before, but it's called like what is it? Optimism. What's it called, Cody? Hormozy was talking about it. Like, basically, competence. Is that where you're going? I don't know where you're going. No, it's basically like there's you're standing at the starting point, and you're like, oh, the horizon's beautiful, and you take a step because you're looking at your friend who's 10 years ahead of you. You take the step and then you fall, and you're like, oh shit, this is hard. And the first step's like super hard. Then you like get to the middle, and you're like, that's where most people drop out. That's like 2 years of your life. And it, like the last guy that we had on, Wally Dolly, you can't forget his name. Wally goes, dude, I just do open houses. A buddy of mine called me last week. I didn't tell you this, Cody. A buddy of mine called me. He's 68 years old. He got into the business 8 years ago. So I'd already been in the business. We talked about like joining together. We didn't do it. We're like, let's just stay friends. He does 4 open houses, 48 weeks a year. He's going to close $60 million this year. He's never spent $1 with Cody. He's never spent $1 with me. He's never spent $1 on coaching. He's never spent $1 on leads. He's going to make this year somewhere around 1.5, 1.7. He's going to pay his 20 grand to his broker, and the rest is just profit. And it's like all he did for the last 8 years. He started first year, he did 8 million, the second year, 20 million, third year. Now he's like, dude, I don't want to work more than that. I'm 68 years old. Every weekend he does every week he finds an opportunity to 4 open houses, and then he calls those people. Like, what you're saying is the power of focus on certain things will give you so much more in life. Garrett, we got to wrap this up. Where do people find you, man?
Yeah. Great point, man. Thanks for having me. They can email me, Garrett at faithfulagent.com. They can go to faithfulagent.com. Those are probably the two easiest ways to find us. Find me.
Garrett, man, this was a ton of fun. This went in a totally different direction than I thought it was going to go with the podcast. But tons of key insight around how to find what will truly make you happy, how to redefine your scoreboard. Just appreciate you sharing with us so openly, so vulnerably. Really do appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, brothers.
You're awesome.
And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.